What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another Manchester City video, where today we're going to be doing my reaction to Manchester City's 2-1 Derby Day defeat at home to Manchester United in the Premier League. Before I do crack on with this video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. Also, don't forget social media links there in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. Do leave a thumbs up on the video, that would be much appreciated, and do get your thoughts in the comments below. What's gone wrong today for Manchester City? What are your thoughts, your frustrations? Vent it all in the comments below. So let's speak about this game. We'll do a full digest. We'll speak about everything there is from all the talking points from this game and then draw up some conclusions. So heading into the game, Man City knew that Arsenal had dropped points this weekend. We knew if we won this game that we were going to go level on points with them. We can make some gains on Liverpool towards the top of the Premier League. We're not thinking too much about the top four. We're more thinking about trying to push forward and try and be positive. Aiming forward is what we're looking for in the build-up to this game. And Manchester United were thinking to themselves, can they scramble a win and start to look up and start to think towards trying to finish in a big European spot, which had City won this game, it'd look quite far away for Manchester United. They sent them 11 points behind a top four spot as we head towards the halfway stage of the Premier League, which can be quite a difficult gap to be able to make gains on. So there was huge permutations heading into this game, and then I spoke about in my preview about the two teams here cancelling each other out and both sides just happy to do battle at a later date, where both teams just settle on a point. They move away from the game. We don't get many talking points from the game, and where we start to speak about all the other games and what is a big marathon season in the Premier League, rather than everything being decided here and now at the Etihad Stadium when we're 16 games in to the Premier League season. And kind of this game played out that way, with two teams kind of cancelling each other out. Manchester City without Rico, Lewis going with Matheus, Nunes in that role instead. There wasn't too much energy in Man City's midfield with the likes of Ilkay, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, so Phil Foden there, Kyle Walker starting once more as well. There wasn't overly too much energy from Manchester City, but there's a lot of experience in there, and I felt like one of the biggest calls that was made was going with Ederson ahead of Ortega. Ortega to me is a better shot stopper. Ederson obviously is the better goalkeeper with his distributions, and at the moment I don't feel like Man City, or Pep for that matter, knows who his number one goalkeeper is. I don't know who's going to start against Aston Villa, and I feel like that's causing a little bit of a goalkeeping problem at City. Neither keeper knows who's the number one and who's going to be starting each game, and because we're in that situation, it looks a little unsettled. And towards the end of the game is how I felt like it looked in terms of the goalkeeping as well, where there's a lot of pressure on whichever keeper starts in a game, and Man City are under enough pressure without us putting more pressure onto the players. And this poor run of form, 1 win in 11 games, the pressure's just getting cranked up and up and up and up. Eventually something has to give for Manchester City, and I feel like we're paying the big price right now for tremendously successful seasons, record-breaking 4 Premier Leagues in a row, historic, never been done before. That's what we managed to achieve last season. The season before, a treble, our first ever Champions League trophy in there as well. We're seeing here world-class football players who are starting to look towards the end of their career, and Manchester City have sat on this rather than deciding to act in the transfer market and keeping the squad nice and fresh. And I feel like that's probably the biggest problem that we've had in the squad. Next up, you obviously have the injury to Rodri, which automatically makes Man City's midfield look so much weaker and more vulnerable, which is where Pep Guardiola keeps coming from, by the way, when he makes his comments, give me a fully fit squad. It means, basically, we get Rodri back into midfield, and Man City's midfield then looks far much better than what it does without Rodri. We saw it last season, even though the last season was tremendously successful. When we didn't have Rodri starting or featuring in games, Man City didn't look like half the team they were when they had Rodri in that team. And this is near enough the same team that we have this season to last season, but we're going to be spending all season without Rodri. And if we somehow manage to pull off a successful season from here on out with not having Rodri, we've done incredibly well, in my complete honest opinion. I look at the league table right now and it is causing me concern to not finish in the top 4 of the Premier League. It's causing me concern that I look towards mid-table and we're only 4 points clear of 12th, and we've got a difficult away game against Aston Villa in 6 days' time, who, if they beat us at Villa Park, which is very much a distinct possibility, they go over us, and you've got the chasing pack of Bournemouth and Fulham and Brighton, who are all in and around Man City's goal difference as well. So things could go south. If this continues, this poor run of form for another 2 or 3 games, Manchester City will more than likely find themselves in the bottom half of the league table halfway through the season, which is not a good thing at all. So City need to buckle their ideas up very, very quickly. Now, in terms of this game, it was a bit of a nothing game. So a very un-Manchester derby kind of game. I was expecting both teams to really fly at each other. They want to make a statement. Man United know they score early. Man City's heads will drop. We know if we grab an early goal, United's heads will more than likely drop. What we saw here was 2 teams who are performing below average cancelling each other out. So when you get games like this, it's always going to be decided by the finest of margins. Have a look at the statistics. City just about edged the possession. Both have the same shots. Both have the same shots on target. The pass completion, near enough the same. The amount of passes, near enough the same. It was just literally carbon copy. If there was ever a Manchester derby that deserved a 0-0 draw and both teams cancelling each other out, it was this game, which is what I mentioned in my preview. Yet we've still managed to succumb to 3 goals in this game. Kevin De Bruyne with a nice ball in the first half and a lovely header from Josko Gvardiol. It's about the only bit of quality that we saw from City from an attacking point of view. Once more, a lack of creativity from Manchester City. Manchester United managed to find one threaded ball through to Bruno Fernandes, who should have bagged in the second half. He didn't. He missed. And that was pretty much all it was to the game until we get to the 87th minute and that kamikaze back pass from Matheus Nunes. Now, I didn't think Nunes had too bad of a game. He's playing in an unfamiliar role. He didn't look unnatural. I didn't think he was doing too bad. The weight of the pass, though, is what was causing all of Manchester City's problems for Manchester United's equaliser, and he comes rushing in like a bull in a china shop, trying to make up for his horrific back pass, with Ederson backpedaling because he was caught in no man's land from this poor pass, with Ahmad does very well just to protect the ball, take the hit from the player because he knows Nunes is coming, boom, penalty every single day of the week. And I think United will feel hard done by that they didn't have a penalty earlier in the second half from Ruben Diaz, which I did have a little chuckle after the game that I heard that Mike Dean had described it as, it's not a penalty in this kind of game. Which ridiculous. Anyway, the Nunes one penalty every single day of the week. Horrific challenge. Bruno Fernandes just waits for Ederson to commit, strokes the ball into the back of the net. As going back to what I was saying at the beginning of the video, Ederson's under pressure because he doesn't know if he's number 1, so he feels like he's got to save this penalty. He doesn't. When was the last time Ederson saved a penalty? And then again, he's just kind of caught in no man's land for the second goal. Manchester City 2 minutes later conceded. Very important. It's not the first time. Saw it against Juventus midweek. Seen it again today against United. We concede once, the heads drop, the concentration disappears, and we concede again. This time, Ahmad manages to chip the ball over Ederson, puts the ball into the back of the net. Not too sure why Josko Gvardiol was trying to back heel it in the last minute to try and find a goal line clearance. Perhaps he's worried about sliding in and conceding an own goal, but I feel like we're just overcomplicating the clearance there. Clearance to me should have been made. It wasn't made. It was a good bit of play from Ahmad. It was a good finish from Ahmad as well. I'm not taking anything away from him, but it was an awful goal for City to concede. Just one lumped ball forward, I think, from Martinez, and Man City were undone. We were victims of our own downfall. We had the game in the palm of our hands on the 88th minute, exactly where we wanted this game to be, and we've literally, just before Christmas, just gifted Manchester United an early Christmas present and said, here, you can have 3 points, let us put a little bow on there as well for you. Why not? Manchester derby, doesn't seem to mean too much to us. You can have the 3 points instead. And it's incredibly frustrating, very disappointing, and where do we go from here? I can make a video, a generic video that I can put out game after game after game of Man City and why we're putting in poor performances, looking leggy in midfield, poor defensively, being very stubborn with making substitutions and making changes, just being all over the shop when it comes to City being under pressure, and also concentration levels disappearing once we've conceded. And Ilkay Gundogan spoken about it. I think he's right. Pep Guardiola said he doesn't think he's right. It's the second time I've said this now in the last 3 days, and that is, I agree with Ilkay Gundogan. There is a concentration issue at Manchester City. They concede once and the defensive line goes all over the place. They start to panic, they don't know what to do, and they get punished because there's a tremendous amount of quality in the Premier League. And if they continue like this week after week, they will be found out. It will happen in the Champions League. There's too much quality there. Now, when you go up against teams that haven't got that quality, Man City should be able to steamroll teams. But the majority of the teams in the Premier League are more than capable of putting on an effort with Manchester City. And right now, Aston Villa, our next game, are going to be rubbing their hands at playing us. Brilliant time for them to be playing Manchester City. Got a couple of difficult games against Everton at home. We just managed to get a 0-0 draw against Arsenal. They're going to be rubbing their hands. They're going to be thinking they can come to the Etihad and take points off us. Leicester City got battered yesterday by Newcastle. We got them away from home to end 2024. And they're going to be thinking it's a great time to be playing City and the perfect chance for them to take some points off us as well. Where realistically, Manchester City, they want to try and compete towards the top end of the Premier League. I'm looking at them 3 games and I'm thinking we've minimum now got to take 7 points from them games. If you want to win a Premier League trophy, it's got to be 9 points from them games, and then you got to win your next 10 after that as well to remain competitive. That's how far off right now Manchester City are. There's all kinds of things that are adding up game after game after game that are wrong from Manchester City, and it's not just something that's going to be turned around by making a signing or two in January. It's going to need a full transition. It's going to take a lot of time. We're going to have to be patient as fans. It's going to take a good, it might not even be sorted for next season. That's how long a transition is going to take. Now, to me, my opinion, I've seen some questions coming out about Pep Guardiola. To me, he is the best manager in the world, and if he's motivated enough and he wants to lead Man City through the transition, he is exactly the man that I want in charge at the club to lead us through the difficult times to try and get us back to the top of the pedestal. And he can, and he's proven that he can do it, and he's a tremendous manager who deserves the backing from everybody associated with Manchester City Football Club for everything that he's done for the club during the last, 9 years or so of him being in charge at Manchester City. But something, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the video, something has to give from Manchester City. At the moment, we're paying a huge price for how successful we have been on the pitch over the last few seasons, and there was always going to be this dip, this drop with players getting older and Manchester City standing still in the transfer market. There's all kinds of other things we can sit here and speak about. I could sit here for an hour and make a video and speak about things that I think are wrong at City or they're not quite doing right. But to me, obviously the Rodri injury doesn't help at all. Not signing a replacement doesn't help. But standing still in the transfer market is on the board not good enough. And ultimately now, City just aren't good enough. And I think the City fans now, we need to be having a discussion about looking towards the halfway point of the season. What now is a successful season for Manchester City? Because views to offer me right now, Manchester City finishing the top 4, and that's that. We're finishing the top 4. I would snap your hand off at that. I'd be more than happy to just say Champions League football on offer for next season. Let's go, move on, and we'll focus on next season. But there's still another 22 games left in this season, and there's every chance that Manchester City may not finish in the top 4. Manchester United didn't play a particularly good game of football, in my opinion, from a performance point of view, but they've still managed to come away with a smash and grab 3 points, whereas Manchester City had 3 points in the palm of their hands and let them slip, and I'm just hoping that them 3 points aren't the difference between us having success at the end of the season and not. Ultimately, incredibly disappointing evening for everybody associated with City, from the players through to the staff and also the fans as well. Incredibly disappointing. The players know exactly what the Manchester derby means to them, and I'm hoping that they're going to respond in a really positive manner and put in a really good performance, because that ultimately is where I judge Manchester City. Not so much you put in some bad performances or you get some bad results, it's how you respond to that. This is probably the most disappointed and most bitter pill to swallow that we've had all season, and it's all to do with the mannerism. 88th and 90th minute, it's like being sucker punched. Awful feeling, we've got to deal with it. Ultimately though, City not good enough this evening, and we haven't been good enough for the last 11 games, bar that one win against Nottingham Forest, which had Chris Wood put that opportunity away and made it 1-1, with how frail City have been at the back and this mental problem that City are having, along with the physically ageing squad. We could well have dropped points as well there. We'll never know. I'd love to know your thoughts, guys, in the comments below. Please do let me know your thoughts. Also, don't forget as well to leave a thumbs up. That would be great. Do subscribe if you're new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Social media links, they're in the description if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. And I will have my match vlog from this game, so I've not done my live stream today like I normally would. I was at the Etihad Stadium, covered it in a match vlog. I'll have that out tomorrow for you guys to go and enjoy, sampling a bit of experience at the Etihad Stadium, which is always great, and sampling what the Manchester derby looks like at the Etihad Stadium for Man City v Man United. So I'd appreciate anybody checking that out tomorrow. So I'll see you for that. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. Take it easy, guys. Peace. Ciao for now.